Hi, today I'm going to read to you from my book The Bone Roots, which is a Slavic folklore-inspired story. I'm going to read to you from a chapter about how one of the two main characters managed to secure a domovoy, house spirit, for one of the people in her charge. Bog beacons, tiny orange mushrooms, tightly wrapped their closed cups around their thin white stalks as they poked out in the shallower spots, a pretty flash of colour. Kada's feet were cold and wet, but she didn't care. She missed this feeling of being unobserved. A flame blazed for a moment above the yellowed swamp grass and then went out again. Kada took out a crust of bread from her pack, careful not to drop anything into the water. She whistled low, the bread resting on her outstretched hand. For a moment nothing happened. Kada glanced to the east, but the sun was still hidden from view. There was still time. The water in front of her swirled, and a hulking figure, taller than any man Kada ever saw, with pupil-less white eyes, dripping lichen that hung in strands off its bulbous head, rose before her. It lifted its hand, each finger ending with a white-tipped, shining pad, like a lure, hypnotizing those too ignorant to look away. "Hello, Świtosz," Kada said. The creature reached for the bread in her hand, but she closed her fingers over it. The Świtosz's eyes blazed a brighter white, anger flaring his nostrils. "You brought the bread. Give it to me." "Not yet," Kada smiled. "I give it to you now, you will eat it, and then pull me into your swamp." "I might drown you now and take the bread anyway," Świtosz said, swaying gently in the wind blowing through the marshes. The eerie glow of his fingers lit up Kada's face as she stared up to him, unafraid. "Bread is not just bread, my friend." She stared right into his eyes. The wind had pulled her shawl off her head, and it bellowed like a sail behind her shoulders. "What is it then, if it is more than what it seems?" "Bread is a story shared. Bread is a promise of friendship and peace," she said, "if you tell all." The Świtosz stared at her for a moment, then he fell to his knees, the water splashing the front of Kada's skirt. "You will not listen." His head was now on a level with Kada's, and she dared not look away from his eyes. "That is why I'm here, to hear all." The creature shook his head. "You lie. You will listen for a moment, then turn your head away and leave. They all leave." "I will not." "My crimes are too great." Kada could hear the pleading in the creature's voice. He wanted to believe her, wanted to trust her so badly. "You will turn in disgust and leave me here." "I'm not an innocent," she said. She reached out and placed her left palm on Świtosz's head. It was wet and spongy. It gave a little under her touch, like moss after rain. "I will hear all." And then he spoke. Kada breathed slowly as the crimes of the creature's human life unfurled before her. Nothing was hidden. Nothing was glossed over. The shame and the pain and the cruelty and violence, all spoken in a voice of thunder. Revulsion and hatred fought in Kada's breast, but she didn't lose sight of her task. As the creature spoke, soft strands separated from its body, floating around like spring spiderweb. Kada carefully plucked each strand from the air, her fingers weaving a tapestry of colour, each thread pure light. "I cut." Her fingers knotted a thread hanging in the cold air in front of her. The blood ran down her face. A new thread flowed across her palm like silk. "Lies." The colour solidified as a line after line of the tapestry ran closely together. "Buried him there." A thread cut Kada's finger, but she paid it no mind. She kept weaving as the Świtosz spoke. "Just a baby." Tears came to Kada's eyes. She blinked them away. She had to see clearly. She had to complete her work. The blinding blow. The creature shrank with every strand pulled off. First a giant, it became Kada's height. Then he only reached her shoulder, her breasts, her navel. When the words slowed to a trickle and the Świtosz was no taller than her knees, Kada tugged on the shining cloth hanging suspended in the air and threw it over the creature's body. A sigh of relief escaped him, as soft ears grew from its head. The cloth tightened around his body, moulding itself to him, pulling and stretching, till a large red cat stood in front of Kada, his green eyes reflecting the pink light of the morning sun. Kada bent down and held out the bread to the transformed Shvitor. The cat ate the offering and then allowed himself to be picked up. He purred in Kada's arms. There's a family with a new baby waiting on you. There's a sprig of this year's heather on the door and a bowl of milk on the step in front, she said. The cat purred at the words, his body vibrating under Kada's hand. She walked back the same way she'd arrived, stepping carefully where the green lashes of the swamp were disturbed in the night, following the ribbon of her own footsteps. You will serve them well and keep them safe, and then once they pass on, you will serve their children's children, love them well, and earn the company of the good once more, domovoy.